Hello students, let us understand the process of breathing through a simple experiment. So you need to take a transparent plastic bottle, remove its bottom and take a rubber cork, Y-shaped plastic tube and two deflated balloons. And now you need to enter the balloons, fix the balloons to the each cork and you need to cap the bottle with cork. And put the tube attached to the balloons inside the bottle from its open bottom. Take a hole in the cork and pass the open end of the tube outside the bottle through the hole. Now tie a rubber sheet at the bottom of bottle tightly so that no air can pass through it, or you can use balloons. Pull down the rubber sheet and watch the balloons get inflated. You can see that balloons are getting inflated. Okay, now you need to push the rubber sheet inside the bottle and watch the balloon collapse. You can see again the deflated balloons. So how do these balloons get inflated and deflated when we pull or push that balloon? When we pull the rubber sheet outward, the space inside the bottle increases and the air inside the bottle becomes lighter. So the dense air rushes into the balloons from outside. Okay. And the air enters the tube through the opening outside the bottle. Then the air travels through the tube and enters the two branches of the tubes and into. Then when we push the rubber sheet inside or the balloon inside, the space in the jar is reduced. So the pressure is increased. So this pushes the air out of the balloons. That's why this balloon gets deflated. So here the bottle is just like a human body and there is an empty space or cavity inside the body filled with air that is called a body cavity. You can see there. And the rubber sheet is the diaphragm which divides the body into two parts. The upper part is the chest cavity. And the Y-shaped tube is the trachea and the bronchi. Okay. And the balloons are like the lungs which are situated in the chest cavity. So now let us see what happens in our body during breathing. So the opening of the tube outside the bottle is the opening in the nose, which is we call it as nostrils. So when the diaphragm goes down, it makes the chest cavity larger. In the same manner, when we pull the rubber sheet, the space inside the bottle gets increased. So the oxygen-rich air from outside enters the windpipe through the nostrils, and it happened just like what we saw in that experiment. Then air enters the bronchi like the air enters to the two branches of the tubes in the experiment. Okay. So then finally it goes to the lungs and the lungs get inflated as the balloons in the experiment. Similarly, when we push the rubber sheet or the diaphragm, it moves the air up and the cavity becomes denser. There is more pressure on the balloons or the lungs and air gets out of the body through the same path as before. That inhalation process. That means from lungs to the bronchi, windpipe, nasal cavity, nostrils and finally out of the body. So that is the pathway for the breathing. So we can say that it is controlled by the movement of diaphragm. Okay, so breathing is controlled by the movement of diaphragm. Whereas the diaphragm is controlled by